Thank you. Thank you. Imagine with me for a moment that you are in the market for a job at a hotel. You score an interview with one of each of two hotels, and they tell you where to go for your interview, and you show up for the first interview, and this is what you see. That's a real sign. It's not AI, it's not Google Images. I took that picture at a hotel. Now, that interview goes okay, and then you go to the other interview. Here they tell you to come in through the employee entrance, and you are greeted by this. You get an offer from both hotels, same job, same money. Which one do you take? Right. Now, by the way, the questions get a little harder as we go along. But yeah, I mean, and yet you've come to that conclusion based only, you here in the audience, based only on what you've seen in these two signs. And what we're going to talk about today is how something like that can make a huge difference in the quality of the people you're able to attract, retain, and engage to help you fuel your business. So I'm going to be very clear about the premise of this presentation today, and that is quite simply this: that creating a focused, engaged, and capably led workforce is one of the best things you can do for your bottom line. This is a business issue. It's not just a social and moral issue. I mean, people say to me all the time, Richard, isn't creating a great workplace just the right thing to do? Well, I believe it is, but that's just an opinion. But I have evidence to show you that creating a great place to work is also the profitable thing to do, and that's what I want to focus on today. Now, in 2020, we were all turned head over heels by the COVID pandemic, and there's probably few things in our lives that were affected more by the pandemic than the world of work. And yet, if we think about it, so many of the changes that we're dealing with today that you have told me about were things that were already kind of on the way before we ever even heard the word COVID. And yet, people after a couple of years or so started to talk to me about what they called the post-pandemic workplace. I don't even know if that's the right term for it, and so instead I call it workplace next, and that's really where we are today. While COVID might have been the accelerant for many of the changes that we're dealing with today, we cannot give COVID the credit for being the igniter. And so let's look at the trends that we see today had been coming for years, but they've really been kicked up just in the last few years. The first trend that I see in the workplace today is that workers are in the driver's seat. They really are. Certainly for right now, and demographers tell us perhaps for some time to come. There simply are too many jobs chasing too few workers, especially in healthcare, in your field, but also in many other industries. This is the way it is now, and it's probably going to be this way for some time. And it's not that people don't want to work anymore. That old trope has been beaten to death and proven wrong, and yet so many people still want to believe it. The fact is, people do want to work. They may just not want to work for you. The second thing that we see happening in the workplace today is that flexibility is here to stay. One thing that the pandemic taught us is that not everybody has to be chained to a desk from morning till afternoon, 5 days a week, at the same time with everyone else. Now, many of the people who work in your hospitals obviously can't do their work from home, but many can. And it's not just about working from home, it is about flexibility. And if we approach the world of work, which is now has a very flexible mindset, if we approach that with a very rigid mindset, you're just doing yourselves a disservice when it comes to attracting and retaining the best talent. The third trend that I see, and this has been coming for a number of years, and that is that relationships at work are now simply more transactional and less relational. And I think that's a little sad, but that's kind of where we are. Loyalty has gone out the window, and it really started with employers, but it is coming from both sides now. Employers say, I will pay you for your time and your talent for a certain time until I no longer need it. And employees are saying, that's fine, I'll sell you that time and talent until I can find a better deal. the fourth trend that we see, and this is perhaps a bright spot on the horizon, and that is development is the new pay raise. Younger workers are telling us that, yes, I will forego a certain amount of compensation in exchange for a certain promise of developmental opportunities and the development and the opportunity to create more skills for myself. And the fifth and final trend that I'll talk to you about, I don't care who you are or when you were born, you are going to have to work with a generation that totally perplexes you. So let's just get used to it. Let's see what we can learn from other generations, and let's teach other generations what we have learned as well. Now, most of these trends you're probably not going to like, but I tell you what, you don't have to like them. In fact, you have really two options with these trends, and one is to complain and resist, and the other is to adapt and succeed. That's the one that I'm going to suggest. But also, Workplace Next does not mean anything goes. And it doesn't mean that we have to lower our standards. But what it does mean is that we need to take an assessment of who our workforce is. The workforce that we have is the workforce that we have. We're not getting another one. Let's adapt our organization to be able to burn the available fuel so that we can continue to serve those whom we serve.